What if Kang the Conqueror finally invaded present-day Earth with the full force of his temporal armies? That's the premise of Kang Dynasty, the final saga of Kurt Busiek's Avengers run and one of the best Avengers stories of the early 2000s. Told across 15 issues from Avengers Volume 341 through 55, plus an accompanying annual, Kang Dynasty is an incredible narrative feat that serves as both the satisfying conclusion to Busiek's ongoing saga and the climax of every Kang story since 1964. To see how Busiek achieved such a feat, let's go through the story issue by issue, starting with Avengers number 41. This issue opens really strongly with a monologue from Kang, explaining that 21st century Earth may seem helpless, and that is because it is. Even with the Avengers, they are not to be feared, simply taken seriously. I love the subversion of Kang's assessment. You expect him to say that 21st century Earth is dangerous because of the Avengers, but the subversion makes it clear that stopping Kang will be no easy feat. The remainder of the issue primarily just reestablishes the long-running subplots going into this story. Hank Pym has flipped his benevolent Giant Man and erratic Yellow Jacket personas, Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man are on the precipice of ending their romantic relationship for work reasons, and the Avengers' newest member, Triathlon, doesn't feel like he belongs because the religious group he belongs to, the Triune Understanding, is very suspicious and may be killed by the 3D Man. Also, something bad is happening in Siberia, so Thor and Captain America are leading a team of Avengers to investigate. Finally, the issue ends with Kang's son, the Scarlet Centurion, arriving to tell Earth to make way for Kang's arrival. The Avengers beat him up, so Kang arrives and blows up the UN building with his spaceship HQ. Issue 42 is then essentially an issue-long monologue. First, Kang explains that the Earth will be faced by countless threats in the future that the Earthlings cannot stop, the first of which is a horde of radioactive ghosts that corrupt everything they touch. Then, Kang offers the world a chance to surrender so he can save them. The governments naturally refuse, so Kang makes his second monologue, explaining how Europe will fall within 3 weeks and the rest of the world will fall soon after, with the hero's mind control to be unable to stop him. Of course, anyone who doesn't want to be conquered simply has to overthrow a government to secure a place in Kang's future. Atuma of Atlantis and the Deviants of China have already taken up Kang's offer, while the trouble in Siberia turns out to be the radioactive threat Kang spoke of, led by the Presence. What this means for the Avengers is that they have 3 threats to take care of before they can even focus on Kang, who's off to prepare his invasion of Europe. Issues 43 and 44 show the Avengers split up to fight off the diversions. The Atlantis fight is pretty uneventful aside from Hank showing up as Yellow Jacket, then passing out and turning transparent. Remember that, we'll get back to it in a bit. The Deviant fight ends when Warbird challenges their leader to a one-on-one battle of honor and wins. This puts Warbird squarely as the one who stopped the Deviants, which ties nicely into her long-running character arc of trying to prove herself. See my Live Career Die video for more details. The most interesting battle is the one in Russia, which sees the Presence actually turn Captain America and a few others into radioactive soldiers. This deeply upsets Thor, who goes all out on the Presence and nearly kills him. However, the Presence's partner, Tanya, steps in, explaining that she can restore everyone back to their normal selves if Thor lets the Presence live. Thor questions why she wants to save him, so Tanya explains that due to their radioactive nature, he is the only one she can safely be around. Thor agrees and she turns everyone back, although Thor is distraught that he feels way more attached to Cap the others than he realized. During these issues, 2001's Avengers Annual released, essentially a giant-sized story released once a year. This one focuses on the Hank Pym problem, picking up after he starts turning transparent. Wasp finds a second Hank Pym back in the mansion, meaning that Giant Man and Yellow Jacket are currently 2 separate people, both turning transparent. With no other solution, Wasp takes up Triathlon's offer to get help from Jonathan Tremont, head of the Triune Understanding. The issue is primarily about Hank Pym having a battle of the minds and learning to accept every part of himself and stop trying to be what other people want him to be. It's really good. Alongside that, though, Photon and Wasp learn from 2 Avengers that have infiltrated the Triune that the Triune has built a spaceship powered by souls. Lovely. Unfortunately, it will have to wait until Kang is dealt with. Or will it? Despite all the Kang stuff, Avengers 45 is mostly about the Triune? Warbird tells Triathlon that she trusts him and wants him to investigate the Triune to make sure they aren't a threat. The government also plans to attack Kang with Sentinels, aka giant death robots that absolutely never ever turn on their creators. And then some bozo called the Master of the World raises giant rock walls all around North American cities to protect them from Kang. You see, Earth is his. I love how Kang is so much of a threat that not only can he make old villains work for him, but he can make new ones come out of the woodwork. Issue 46 opens with the invasion of France, with Thor and Firebird leading the resistance. Captain America then leads a team into space to attack Kang's ship directly and put an end to the war, while the Triune Understanding senses that the triple evil is on the horizon. This is the thing that their whole organization was made to fight, so it's time to fight. Finally, the Master of Earth starts kidnapping politicians to bend the war in the direction he wants, so Warbird leads a team of Avengers to his base in Canada, partly to save people, partly to take control of his OP tech. Unfortunately, he just detonates a part of his base to try and kill them all. Issue 47 is a full Warbird issue, opening with a flashback of her experience with Marcus. To say it without saying it, Marcus mind-controlled Warbird and did uncouth things with her body before he died. Throughout Kang Dynasty, Warbird realized that Scarlet Centurion, Kang's son, looks exactly like Marcus, down to having the same name, which makes it very terrifying when she wakes up alone in the snow with only Marcus around. Warbird immediately starts beating the ever-living daylights out of him, until he manages to convince her that he isn't there to hurt her. You see, he's developed a crush on her, and doesn't want her to die in the Arctic cold. Reluctantly, Warbird lets him tag along and help her out until he deems her to be safe again, back inside the Master's base. Marcus then leaves, and Warbird reunites with the other Avengers. During their adventure, Warbird does develop a bit of respect for Marcus as he proves himself to not be like the other Marcus, but of course the thought that he could be is always in the back of her mind. It makes for a very interesting dynamic and an actually good follow-up to a justifiably hated storyline. Also, a huge pyramid is hurling towards Earth from space. Don't question it. This takes us to issue 48, where Warbird freaking kills the Master with a sword, claiming that they're at war and the rules have changed. Meanwhile, Jonathan Tremont reveals that he knew Firestar and Justice had infiltrated the Understanding, but let them keep snooping around to put their minds at ease. Just a massive power move. Either he isn't scared of the Avengers, or he is so convinced he's the good guy that he thinks the Avengers will ally with him if they learn the truth. He then has Justice and Firestar come with him, Vision, and Triathlon to go stop the Triple Evil. And yes, the spaceship does sap the life energy of the Triune members. And yes, Tremont also sends his medics to help those that sacrifice their energy for the cause. He almost has as much swagger as Kang. Speaking of Kang, he's had moments in the previous issues where he's monologued about his ideologies and war methods, but this is the first one since part 2 where he steps into the spotlight. There is dragged, courtesy of Captain America's assault on his space base. Kang warned Cap that doing this would bring tragedy, so he turns into a giant projection of himself and destroys the Avengers' ship, leaving them stranded in space. The US government unleashes the Sentinels, which Kang takes control of. Angered by the violation of his rules, Kang marches on Earth with his new robot army, laying siege to everything in Avengers 49. Part of Marvel's Nuff Said event, this issue has no dialogue, and boy does it not need any. Kang invades Washington, D.C., and despite the Avengers' best efforts, he kills everyone inside with a massive bomb. With no other option, Wasp surrenders to Kang. Earth is lost. Issue 50 is back to being a normal issue, one that both tells the backstory of Jonathan Tremont and sees the Avengers contending with the Triple Evil. Tremont's backstory is cool, but irrelevant, so I'm gonna ignore it. Instead, remember that giant space pyramid? It's the Triple Evil, and Tremont has been preparing his whole life to destroy it. He finds Cap's team floating in space, although Scarlet Witch has been taken by Kang. With the Triple Evil approaching, the Avengers go stop it, although wind up inside after being trapped in some kind of Lotus Eater machine. They break out, fight the Triple Evil, then Tremont goes nuts, proclaiming that he has to be the savior of Earth. It doesn't work out, though, since Triathlon has 3D Man's power inside him, and was created by Tremont to stop the Triple Evil. So, Triathlon overpowers it and takes control. With Tremont stopped, Vision learns that it has actually been weeks since they left Earth, and Kang has taken over. Thanks, Lotus Eater Machine. Back on Earth, things are not looking good. People who oppose Kang are trapped in so-called detention camps, and if anyone tries to escape, other prisoners are threatened and killed until the escapee turns themselves in. Some superheroes are imprisoned too, including Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man, so much for Kang's mind control the heroes plan. Regardless, the two use their powers to fake Wonder Man's death so he can escape and help the Free Avengers fight back. Wonder Man reunites with the other Free Avengers and they break Wasp out of prison. Now having broken their surrender, Wasp gathers all of their allies for a hasty counterattack. Things seem doomed though until Triathlon pilots up the Triple Evil, creating a giant version of Captain America to fight the giant version of Kang. As the two giants fight, the Avengers give it everything they've got to destroy Kang's space HQ. Thanks to the final strike sacrifice of Tremont, the Avengers are able to break in and Warbird makes a beeline for the power core. It's guarded by Marcus, of course, and the two can't bring themselves to fight. That restriction does not apply to Jack of Hearts, who wallops Marcus while he's off guard, allowing Warbird to destroy the base. As the Avengers flee, Kang injects Marcus into the time stream while he crashes to Earth with his HQ. Issue 54 is the final battle, set amidst the ruins of a town that Kang's crashing base destroyed. I love how it's some random town in Maryland. It's not just the big cities that got damaged, but all of Earth got ruined by Kang. Cap fights Kang hand-to-hand this time, and while the other Avengers want to help, Thor tells him that Cap doesn't need it. And he doesn't, as Cap beats Kang easily. While the Avengers do cleanup in the aftermath, Marcus saves his father from prison and takes him back to their extratemporal base. Unfortunately, Kang knows that Marcus betrayed him by helping Warbird, so Kang kills him, revealing that Marcus is simply another clone and Kang is trying to create an heir so he can finally die in combat. Marcus was to be it until he came back for dear old dad. Issue 55 is the final issue in the storyline, and it's one big epilogue as the world mourns those they lost. The Avengers in particular mourn their government liaison, Dwayne Freeman, who was a pretty big part of the rest of Busaic's run, just not Kang Dynasty. Triathlon also separates 3D Man from himself and sends the no longer evil Triple Evil back into space, providing a happy ending on his end. Then, Thor throws all the Avengers a big feast for winning the war, having come to terms with being friends with mortals. It's a good epilogue issue, neatly blending the celebration of victory with the mourning of what was lost. And that's Kang Dynasty. I think what makes it so special is not only the scope of its conflict, but all the little character moments that really give the story its texture. Kang's invasion affects the whole world, everything from China to Atlantis to small-town Maryland, and assembles an absolutely massive team of Avengers in response. Even bit players like Stingray and Firebird get a little focus, even if it's only a single scene, so nobody feels completely worthless or left out. The Triune Understanding plot is also wrapped up incredibly well, and giving it its own standalone issue helps make it feel like the natural end to a long-running plotline instead of just part of Kang Dynasty. Even then, the Triple Evil is the only reason the Avengers beat Kang, which is kinda funny in its own right. Kang prepped for everything, so you think he would have prepped for this if he could have. Kang himself is a fascinating character here. He's almost a protagonist of the story, popping up in almost every issue to tell us his philosophy on war. He sees it like a game. You have to win on the battlefield or it doesn't count, and considers it an honor to be beaten by Captain America in single combat. Cap, of course, thinks that there is no honor in war. This is pretty much the whole theme of the piece, which was probably motivated at least in part by 9/11 happening in the middle of its release schedule. You'd never be able to tell though, since everything fits perfectly in story and in universe. It does recontextualize the mourning in issue 5 to being a 9/11 memorial, which was probably nice at the time. On the Avengers side of things, Warbird completes her long-running arc by finally working as part of a team, accepting her own flaws when she has to be put on trial for killing the Master, in a parallel to the lowest point of her arc 50 issues ago. She's parted here, of course. Thor's arc runs throughout and shows that you simply can't detach yourself through human life, while Triathlon finally fits in as an Avenger and saves the world. Hank Pym finally accepts himself for who he is, and Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man become okay moving on from their romance. Not everyone gets equal attention, like Justice, Firestar, and Iron Man, but Busiek does an incredible job giving everyone at least one moment of characterization. It's an incredible story that flows pretty seamlessly, and is a great ending for Kang in this iteration of the Avengers. Hell, it'd be a great last Avengers story, period. It's a shame it didn't turn out that way, but we can always pretend. It's a great ending regardless. Thanks for watching.